mom, my husband, and my sister and I, we all went to a worship conference. And at this worship conference, they had some pastors, some prophets that said that they wanted to pray over any of the senior leaders that were present. And so my mom went up. Me and my sister went up with her so that we could, stand with her and verify that what they were saying was accurate. And they began to speak. The prophet began to speak about some things that I knew were very true for my mom, which was her service to the homeless and the needy, and how that had been a blessing in her life and caused God to, give her abundance because of how she took care of the poor. And then he began to speak some other things that were resonating about future things, about God calling her to other places and to launch out. And at this time, my mom was considering an offer that had been made to her for several years from Pastor Henson, who's kind of like a relative to us, to go on a missions trip to Kenya. And she had always declined it, for one reason or another. But this year it was sitting with her a little bit different. But she wasn't really sold on the idea yet. It was something very foreign to her. She had never been to Africa before. And she would also have to travel without my dad. So, there was a lot of factors at play that I'm sure made her a little bit like, I don't know if I'm going, probably like some of us who are watching this video. I don't know if I'm going either, right? But in this moment while I'm hearing this prophet speak over her life, I'm hearing confirmation in my own spirit that she's supposed to go to Kenya. And so after he was done praying for her, I whispered in her ear and I told her, Mom, go to Kenya. You need to go to Kenya. And just the confirmation that she needed was in that atmosphere. And just a few months later, she went on her first missions trip to Kenya. And I don't know how many times she's been since then, but that was the first trip. It opened up her eyes to many things, and it has set her on a journey, even at this point in her life that I'm sure she never imagined, but has, given her a passion and a love for a really great work.
The fundamental belief that we found when Apostle LaTanya went to Kenya was the need to educate some children in Bungoma County. At first we thought maybe it would just be providing school fees for a certain number of kids, because in Africa, secondary education is not free as it is here in the United States. But when she got there, she discovered there was such a great need in this particular area. And I believe, just as she believes, that the fundamental purpose is like what we say here in America, a mine is a terrible thing to waste. And so we saw that need, and we partnered with someone at first who said, hey, we could do this. And we started the school. The first school we started was Springs of Living Water Academy. Unfortunately, there was some integrity things within that school in a couple of years, and we went back and we almost pulled out. But we also found that the need was still great, and so birthed Integrity School of Excellence. And we started there again with just a great staff of people to educate the children of Africa. And I believe that you can see a lot of people on the internet begging for funds. But if you teach a person how to fish, you don't have to longer give them any more fish. but they can fish for themselves. And so that's why we're there in Bungoma County.
Fast forward, we had one school, and now we have a whole nother school, the Integrity Academy of Excellence. It's definitely legacy. See, my grandmother, she too was very instrumental in helping the farmers that were working in the Tri-Cities being educated. So she started helping them go to night school so that they could not just support themselves and their family, but grow and learn. And so now my mom, 4 or 5 decades later, is very instrumental in a whole nother continent, a whole group of individuals, students that would never be educated had there not been the Integrity Academy of Excellence. This school started with 30 kids. 30. Now we're at 331 plus. And it is a very powerful thing every February when my mom goes and gets to see all the fruit of her labor. I know that God had a complete plan. And after 3 back surgeries, most people wouldn't even consider going to another state, let alone to another continent. But she believed what God had called her to do. And she understood the legacy. And so when myself and my whole entire family, my husband and my 3 kids, went in 2023, it was a powerful experience to see the buildings that were built from the ground up, to see the kids running around, playing, putting on programs and letting us see what they were learning. And not only what they were learning, that they wanted to learn, that they were excited to learn, and they were appreciative that there is someone in a whole nother continent who cares enough about them to make sure that they can be educated. Not only that, ensuring that the teachers are the best, certified, and they are paid for what they do. This is something that was birthed in my mom, LaTanya Jimerson. It's amazing to me that today you guys would even choose to honor her, but it is well deserved. She really is the epitome of Black history. Thank you. Thank you for thinking of her. Thank you for listening to her story. And I hope that you may want to come and join us going to Kenya. Maybe you won't be able to go, but everybody can give. So if you would like, we can give you the information on how you can be a part of the work, the history that continues in Bungoma County, Kenya.